Chris from Intentional here, and yes, actually marked 5 years since I joined Intentional. So I've obviously been reflecting a lot on the last 5 years, and I thought, as much as to chronicle it for myself, I thought it'd be cool to look back on 5 things that I would do again and 5 things that I wouldn't do again if I was starting an agency in, let's say, 2020, because it's just around the corner. Being that there's things that have worked really well, so if we had to do it all over again, what would I do again? And if we had to do it all over again, what have I kind of learned that was probably a waste of time and I shouldn't have been there? So let's get to it. We'll start first with the 5 things that if I was starting an agency in 2020 that I would be focusing in on. So number one, I'd be a specialist again. So in the very, very early days, courtesy of my founder, Adam, or our founder, Adam, he decided to go all in on paid digital ads at the time. That was just Google search, and enabled him to very quickly scale up in being an expert at that one channel and very quickly grow a set of clients that came to him for that specific need. Along with that came requests for SEO, building websites, doing videos, the whole host that most digital agencies say yes to. When I joined in 2014, I came and brought the social ads specialization to the team. So after 3 years of Adam being in search and toeing the water for social ads, I joined from my experience and brought that from a Facebook ads point of view. Along with that came community management, content creation, all of that you can imagine, along with that side of the business. And we also said no to that. So now we're excellent at search, which had now grown to display as well, and excellent at Facebook. It's meant as Instagram has come along, we've been able to jump onto that really quickly and give our clients the best return from that channel. It means that we've embraced YouTube, it means we've embraced Google Shopping, but we're still within the paid digital ad sides of things. Now, if I was going to start an agency in 2020, and maybe I'll share on this in another video, but I really believe the best thing to go for would be YouTube. I think it's the hardest barrier to entry right now to be good at. I think Facebook and Google, for all of other Google products, make it quite user-friendly out of the box. So to have a competitive advantage there is it's more difficult. And so if you were just starting from scratch today, it's going to be harder to get such a remarkable result versus what is just in the norm if you're just starting out today. So YouTube ads is where I would be focusing on my time. I think the other one for me is definitely being that I would do it with a partner again. And so, having Adam there as a sounding board has been incredibly helpful for me the whole time. Those of you who know Adam know that he's very systemized, he's process driven, and that's really what attracted him. As I've been sharing on strengths and weaknesses, one of my key weaknesses is sticking to a box, keeping to a set of instructions that we have to do. So being able to have someone there that thinks in that way has been really complimentary for me. It also does come with something that I wouldn't do again, but I won't touch on that just yet. But I think if you type of personality, you can just do it alone, cool, do it alone. But if you do have a complementary set of skills, and Adam and I very much did in the early days, we just viewed that as, you do search and I'll do social. But we realized very quickly actually the better way to split our roles and responsibilities, and I'll talk about some of that. I'd also view other people in the market not as competitors. So even though we were a specialist, we would still often recommend to either other specialists or other people that did one service really, really well. And so I think if you go in believing in a scarcity mindset, so if you believe there's only a limited amount of pie available and I've got to eat it all up, otherwise there's not enough for everyone, I don't think you'll get very far. And we've seen a lot of agencies come and go. If you embrace it as actually the more we share, the more everyone else wins. Our clients are going to win. If they're working with more specialists, it's going to be better for them, or even just people who do one thing well. So if we can get our clients an incredible SEO agency, email marketing agency, video content agency, community manager, whatever it might be, it's going to help our ads. And so taking that abundance mindset, that the more specialization we can have for a client, not the less, the more selfish we are, the worse result we're going to get for our clients. And so that if you can embrace that, which is really hard because you're scared of losing clients in the early days. But I think if you can embrace competition as collaboration, it's going to be a massive key to success for growing an agency. Number 4 is a simple one, but actually incredibly hard, and that's to tell the truth. Particularly if you're doing something around creative or marketing, or where you're being responsible for someone else's money, you're a steward and you're investing that to get a result. So it's probably outside of even marketing, but talking to marketers. The only way I believe that you can scale and grow a business is to tell the truth. If you tell half truths, if you lie, if you hide truths, if you just don't know, but you pretend that you know, it's all bad and it's all going to catch up with you. We've done this from the very, very early days. We've had tough conversations. We've had to tell clients, hey, we just spent $7,000 in a city you don't even operate in. We've had to tell clients, hey, there's an ad running right now that's advertising the wrong thing that actually expired 2 months ago. But we always want to be the first. We're not always the first. Sometimes the client catches our mistakes before someone else does. But to pretend that a human error won't happen somewhere along the way is just silly. And actually our best relationships have been with those clients that we've had tensions, we've made a mistake, and that we've actually rectified that. And in rectifying that, I think we've always had our best outcomes. Then another story that I'll tell at this stage is become almost like a famous story internally at Intentional, but it's an actual truth, is that we often say no to advertising budget, which I know is mad for an advertising agency, but we actually believe that you can spend too much in a given market in a given time, that it actually is possible to over invest in advertising. And so from time to time we will tell clients that no, we won't actually take on that budget. And there's a particular case where we turned down a significant amount of money, but that client is now one of our best clients, definitely one of our longest serving clients. And I often think back to that. If we'd said yes then, how long much more would they have kept working with us? So always tell the truth, even if it hurts you, and always tell it first. The last one, which I didn't probably fully comprehend in starting an agency, was the change element. So you've got to get really, really comfortable with being uncomfortable if you're going to be in this industry. I knew from my time client side with marketing that things evolve and change, and there's new emerging channels and the things we've got to be look at. But the nuances within the ad platforms are just next level. It ties back to that point number 1 about being a specialist. I, for the life of me, do not understand how people do everything. Even if you've got team members across all those areas, to not have multiple eyes across all the updates that are coming through just absolutely baffles me, and that's just increasing and increasing. So just be prepared to change. What worked 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 2, 3, 5 years ago will no longer work. And I think looking aside the people that started with us and that we worked with, that if they didn't keep changing, if they kept trying to do the one thing that they always did, they just didn't grow. And I think that you've got to be always open to, actually there's a better way to do this, and there's a better result out there for our clients. So they're the 5 things that I would do again. Now I'm going to jump over to what are the 5 things that I would not do. I think in the early days, one of the temptations is to try and spend as little as you possibly can, and grow on referrals and organic, and that's all fine. And I think that works. You would have heard me mention this, and I promise I will share a video because it's really important to me now, this idea of compounding. And I think 5 years in, what we're feeling is we've had incredibly blessed networks from viewing the competition as collaboration, not competition. So that's really blessed us every month to have referrals available to us. Where we've grown and looking to continue to scale, though, the limitation then becomes on us choosing who we would like to be in front of. And so by not being involved in marketing ourselves, taking our own medicine, doing our own advertising, promoting ourselves, 5 years in, we're now at that point where we've been doing it for a little while, but we're not getting the benefit of the compounding effect. So if you're just starting out today, I think document what you're doing. I think sharing insights as they come available. I think building your networks and just being generous, giving without necessarily needing to take. And to be honest, these videos are probably the first taste of me really doing that. And it's amazing just as you start sharing how, I could share about this and that. And so more ideas come from that. But I think if you are particularly an agency, what I would be doing is sharing very early on and get into the habit of spending on your own ads, feel what that feels like to get CPAs and your own cost per clicks, and what does it feel like to pay $4 more for a cost per click this month than last month. Very quickly you'll find yourself realizing why your clients raise that with you all the time as well. I think if you're starting an agency or starting any business, don't work every hour. You become so ineffective, and it's that hustle mindset. Look, hustle in terms of work hard, but to think that you're going to be working hard 16, 18 hours a day, all weekends, all public holidays, I just think there's a myth to it. I'm sure there are some people that thrive in that, and if that is you and you know that's how you work, just go for it. But I think for the most people, you will reach a burnout stage, or you just do reach a point where you're working in an exhausted state rather than in a flow state. I think it's much better to, as I shared, get your calendar right, work out when your peak periods. I'm a night owl by default. And I've for so many years said, no, I don't need to work it. I can work later in the day. I can tell you now the days where I do that and don't stick to my calendar. Morning is prime time, and I truly believe that's when you're going to get your best work. So prioritize the morning over just working long hours. I think that hustle mindset can translate that into working extremely hard in the peak periods rather than just working for a long period of time. Number 3, my handwriting's awful that I've just put down here. Right. Yeah, this is a tough one. So in my top things to do, I said to be a specialist. And for us, we viewed, because we were a specialist, that meant we didn't necessarily need to verticalize ourselves down. We could ignore the advice that is so commonly out there for agency owners, is to be brilliant at one vertical, and once you're brilliant at that, then move to the next vertical. But because we were paid digital ad specialists, we felt, well, our specialization can cover multiple things, and yeah, sure, we might have to learn new ways of working as we join a new industry, but ultimately our philosophies and our processes should stay true. Now, it's been fine when it was Adam and I, but as we evolved and you want to grow a team, that becomes more and more of a challenge, because you can't be expecting people in their roles to just automatically know how to do things. If you're one day working on an automotive client and the next an FMCG, there's huge nuances between working on both of those that most agencies that under 50 people, 50 staff, it's going to be really, really difficult to just automatically be moving to those. So if you're still in that scaling up phase as you're going from 5 to 10 to 20 staff, I think as much as possible trying to verticalize what you're doing is really, really important. And we're probably just realizing that now 5 years in terms of the value that we can provide our clients by being a vertical expert, the value that we can provide our staff by doing that as well. So I think, look, verticalize early. So I do YouTube ads, and I do YouTube ads in a vertical that you're passionate about. I think alongside number 1, what I wish I'd done more of, and I guess the heart of these videos, is not viewing sharing as selling. So of course, in running a business, you want to win new business and get clients, and of course, at the heart of sharing content, you're not just doing it for no reason, and you're not just doing it because all I want to do is add value. Of course, you want to add value, you want to build your network, you want to be known as a trusted advisor. But ultimately within that, I think there's this fear in terms of when you are sharing that you're going to come across as pushy, a salesperson. I think particularly an Australian culture issue is you don't want to put people offside. At the end of the day, I found that people just want to help. Like, if you're a useful help person, they want to be useful and help you. And so asking people for recommendations and referrals, asking them to interview them for a podcast, watch out everyone in my network come October. It's not such a scary thing. And actually, once you start doing it, you realize, there's actually a lot of other people out here that want to help me, and you don't necessarily come across as just selling. And I think the very, very last thing that I would recommend is, again, this is common advice, but I would just echo it, is maybe along the lines of the verticalization, maybe along the lines of the verticalization is that if you know a client's not right for you and you have brought them on, or if you're not able to get a result anymore, don't just keep, absolutely thrashing things around and trying, little tiny things that aren't going to make an improvement but take a lot of effort and work. Be prepared to have a tough conversation with that client. Ties into always telling the truth. And we've been great at that. I think we haven't been great at firing clients. So we just know that it's a wrong fit, because we still want to make it work.